This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know that I know nerds. This is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, I know that I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the S4Y VLOGCAST. This is episode number 35. We're almost 2 years into this thing, Chin. We're about like 15, 16 episodes away from being 2 full years.
Season 2, episode number 35.
That's right.
You people forget about that part, you know?
We're nearing 100.
Dude, I mean, it's pretty wild. We're about to hit season 3 soon. The sponsorships are calling. I'm ready. I'm
Google
fielding the offers. I put Google on pause for a second because they were kind of lowballing us. I was like, chill out, bro. Like this is a real podcast. This is the realest podcast in the game right now.
That's fascinating because I actually thought that you were in the lobby of the Google headquarters right now.
They gave me a little piece to negotiate on the side, and we've been talking. But I cleared everybody out for this show, and I'm expecting a really good show. If you guys haven't subscribed, hit us a subscribe. We just crossed 30,000. Something insane. Like, I can't believe 30,000 people are like, oh yeah, let's hear Chin every now and then. It's like, whoa, like,
gonna be 300 soon after our big announcement today. All the sponsors are gonna be rolling in. As we've teased in the title, we have a new member to the Solve4Y team that we are going to introduce to you all shortly. It's gonna be very little surprise to those of you who follow us closely, but maybe we can give everyone else a little bit of a tickle if you're in the dark still.
I was waiting.
No, I was waiting. I was waiting for Chin to give his thoughts, and he just hit me with a.
I mean, I don't know.
I've never had you speechless before, man. I mean, I know it's a big deal, but like, chill out. You're still the OG of this thing.
I don't know, man. I just went from like the Google podcast to like now we have a new member. Is he in on the Google deal too? Like, I don't know. I gotta see. I gotta renegotiate my contracts with Google now. I mean, I'm gonna tell them like, listen, our rates just went up. You know, shit's a little bit crazy, but it's been a wild week, man. How's it going for you?
You know how it's going. We've talked about this. Today was
the pre-production told me to ask you. So.
Today was not great. It's been an up and down last couple weeks. I went on like a 100K upswing on this 25-50 game I've been playing. Yesterday I got stuck 50, ended up making 7 by the time the game was all over. And today I got stuck 65 and had to quit as we go. That's why we're late. I had to get in my last orbit. We were 50K effective and the other guy was drunk. Like, I couldn't walk, man. I couldn't walk. So I ended up recovering a little bit. I lost like 29 today for like a net gain of, I don't know, like 50-ish or 40-ish when it's all said and done. Yeah, it's been topsy-turvy. And a lot of moving parts in the business. I've been working too.
Topsy-turvy?
Turvy. You know what? I can't even back that one up. I just know it's a thing. I don't know where it originates from. I've been saying it since I was a kid, though.
Did you get that from like Full House or something?
That seems like something that would be on Full House. Yeah.
A topsy-turvy. All right. I mean, I've seen a lot of we've put up a lot of content on the YouTube channel lately. I've seen a lot of teasers. I've seen a lot of Poker Out Loud. What has been the general response? I saw a tweet from the second best podcaster in the game, Joe Ingram. He was in there and he was like, hey, I really like this content. And Bader Holtz chimed in, the former prince of it all. He chimed in and he was like, hey, this is cool. And what's the general reaction right now?
The response on Second Thought has seemingly been overwhelmingly positive. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. Hopefully we are able to keep replicating it. It's a difficult series to produce. That's why we're only doing one a month. It's just, it's expensive to get that kind of production value, and it takes a fair amount of time. I think we spent about 10 days building that one out. But I'm looking forward to doing the next one for sure. It's a lot of fun. I'll probably end up doing a couple for YouTube based off of the vlogger season that hopefully we'll get a good response. But yeah, the Poker Out Loud teaser, it's on fire. It has like 7,000 views. Most of our teasers get like 700 views. So people want more for sure. And today marks the day that they're going to get more. We are upping all of our production starting today. We dropped a new course today on the sub-site by my man Ivan from Poker Detox. He heads their MTT stable, former Supernova Elite. He put out a 5-part MTT course, basically rooted in aggressive strategies that are founded in mass data analysis. We also launched the free site today. I know we've been teasing it out for 18 months. Finally, we've given you something for free on the site. Basically, what happened is we wanted to coincide it with the price hike to, kind of give something back to everybody who supported us throughout the pandemic and the lower price range. So on the free site, you will find currently a curriculum of whiteboard videos. They're very short, but very entertaining. We'll be putting out a new course for that series every month for the next 6 months, I believe. There are 2 courses up there currently. We're also going to archive some of our older stuff, so you'll see like academy footage, maybe some of the introductory courses that'll all make it to the free site. And sometime this month, To Be Determined will be up there as well, the documentary that we made. To
Be Determined is a much anticipated movie in New Jersey right now. Every time I get the pulse of the streets. They're like, yo, when's To Be Determined coming? We're trying to see Oscar out there in these streets, bro. Oscar's like, he's big time right now. He's taking my slot in the underground games, and he's just kind of crushing the games. The games have been really big.
Yeah, you love to
underground
see it.
Right here.
Love to see it.
The games have been underground. They've been like 1025 PLO. Oscar's in the mix. Like, it's wild out here right now.
Chill out. That's actually probably a great game for him, man. Just sitting there nut pedaling, waiting for quads.
Bro, it's wild out there. It's like 1025 PLO, like bunch of drunk dealers. Oscar's in the mix. He's winning.
Let's go.
God bless the kid. But
one thing I do want to say, sorry, before you transition, is for those of you who are signing up to the free site, it may look a little bit strange in the sense that you do have to fill out a form as though you are purchasing something, but it is ultimately free. You don't have to enter any credit card information. It's just a WooCommerce thing that we're working on correcting, but it'll probably be a month or so before we can fix that.
All right. I mean, the truth, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, motherfuckers. The truth is, Google told us to get your data.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
Get it. If you want the free shit, you got to give us something.
Yeah.
They might give you a little advertising every now and then. Just throw it in the spam folder. You're good to go. Just watch whatever you want. But yeah, the new course is called Power Poker. I do see people in the chat throwing out the name. Shout out to y'all in the chat. I see a lot of familiar faces in there. But yeah, it is called Power Poker. It is by Ivan, and it's really good. So crazy stuff going down this week. We're going to tell y'all who's in the mix, who joined the S4Y team, and I have a little video for y'all to show it up.
Landon Tice, the young everyone is talking about lately. The Twitter street's been buzzing. He's taken the name from Fedor, ripped it out of his hands, said, I am now here. I'm here to stay. I'm American as fuck. I've never been to Germany, but I will eat your lunch. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good.
Landon, the Prince Tice.
We're going to do this?
Self-proclaimed prince? Is
No.
that-
Self-proclaimed.
Yeah.
You know me well enough that I wouldn't call myself the prince.
No, you're right. You call yourself the god.
I'm a god.
Uh-huh.
Prince, no. God? Fuck yeah.
Some hands that seem like they would be folds would actually be 4-bets. Most of them being like suited Broadway hands, like King Queen suited, Ace 10 suited, Ace Jack, and stuff like that would be cold 4s, and sometimes some Ace wheels. But this one's just an easy fold.
So it's like, I don't necessarily feel a burden to do something because I want to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to be one of the best in the players in the US. I want to play live high stakes, online high stakes, tournaments, all of it. And it's not even because like I want the title of the super alpha, right? But it's just like, I know how much I love the game, that I owe it to myself to be the best version of myself in this game.
The Alamo is in what city?
I'm gonna go with San Antonio.
Correct. What is the Alamo?
It's a train. Isn't it? It's like a train station.
What happened?
I'm like right, but I'm not.
You're not.
But I did get San Antonio.
You did.
I'm getting to know way too many 21 and 22-year-olds between you and Chris K and Jeremiah and Lynn and just this whole collective of up-and-comers who think very little of the generation before them.
The old-timey regs.
old-
The perceived good regs.
What was the funny quip that Landon said?
So, he could lose a pot at one point.
No, he actually can't ever lose pots versus me. I don't know if you know that.
No, versus anyone. He
No,
hasn't
no.
lost a single one.
No, but he hasn't lost a
won
pot
them
versus
all.
me in like a year. He's it's
He's
it's
won
pretty
them all. Look
confusing.
how happy he is.
Right. It's because he's obviously just that much better than all of us. You know,
knows
It's
what
all
you
those
have.
years of experience.
If everything I've done has been given to me with a pat on the back and you played this great, at least even post review, like it's different in a session. Like you don't want to put someone on edge and say, It was a punt. But it's like if I don't have conversations like that, I mean, I don't get better.
I'm gonna give you the name of a famous Texan. Sorry.
Deshaun Watson.
No, he's not. He's not from Texas.
No, but he's a Texan.
That's true.
This card's a little cut up.
He's marking cards
It's
on us.
not. It's not bad, but it's a little.
You
bit.
marking cards on us,
Yeah.
Matt?
Yes.
You called out a billionaire. You offered him a 9 big blind per 100 spot. He said okay at 200, 400, meaning you're giving this guy $750,000. And last I checked, Landon, correct me if I'm wrong, you do not possess $750,000.
Sometimes arrogant Twitter kid makes some decision that might not end up being the greatest decision, as we all probably have at 21. But now we're here, we're live, and we're getting after it.
The state bird of Texas is the northern mockingbird. You're from Florida. What's the state bird of Florida?
I think it's the flamingo.
It's the northern mockingbird.
Is it?
It's the same.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I thought it was a flamingo.
No. It'd be cooler if it was a flamingo.
It would be really, yeah. Because flamingos are fucking sick.
In poker, I'm like pretty professional, but like in life outside of poker,
Oh, you're a mess.
I'm a mess.
You're
I'm
a fucking
I'm,
mess.
I'm like middle school maybe.
To no surprise, we welcome the one and only Chow to the Sim, joining the old-timey regs. Welcome to the team, young man. Here's your official swag.
This is a celebratory hat, like
It's like it's like signing day for
I understand, yeah, for high
college kids,
schoolers.
or in high schoolers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've committed now.
yeah, here we are.
We have your letter of intent.
Put the hat over the headphone. Yeah,
Welcome, young man. That was quite the montage.
it's crazy looking back at that. It's almost been a year since I've been out here.
The flamingo.
No,
The flamingo. That's what you went with for the state bird.
yeah, I generally thought it was a flamingo.
I could tell.
Northern mockingbird.
Sure. The northern mockingbird.
Travis likes to play games like that. It's crazy looking back at all of that stuff. It's almost been a year, man, since being in Vegas.
Yeah, and I mean for you, that's 5% of your life.
It's a long time. Wow. I mean,
For us old timers like me and Chin, that's a heartbeat. We don't give a shit about a year. What's a year? I mean,
Do I qualify as the old timey reg too? I did. Like once you're past 30, you're
Yeah.
an old timey reg, right?
yeah, for sure.
Like, you can't be 30.
damn.
Is Phil Goff on old timey reg too?
The oldest timey is
The oldest of timey.
He's the wisest.
The wisest
The
of
wise
Timey
owl, if
Town,
you will.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 22 in a couple weeks, man. I'm getting
Wow.
that much closer to old timey status.
Chill out, bro.
8 years.
Chill out. Go ahead, Chin.
You know what blood in, blood out is, Landon?
No.
You want to tell him, Berkey, or no?
Yeah, I think Chin is alluding to the fact that you're going to need to take a blood oath, and essentially, there's only one way out of this little clique now that you've joined. That's what
You know what
getting
that
at,
is?
Chin?
You know what that is, or no? Landon.
I'm out.
Christian the Godfather.
Yeah. Sounds like you just got to die.
That's it.
Yeah, it's the casket, motherfucker. That's
Yeah.
the only way out.
That's right. You're a lifer with us now. Scooch in a little bit closer. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
I hear you great now.
Wow.
Fantastic. All right, so seriously, let's dig into this a little bit because we're making a lot of jokes, some at your expense, but obviously, like, you're a well sought after talent. You didn't need to, in any way, shape, or form, include yourself in what we're doing. So I guess tell everybody a little bit about how you got to this point and why you decided that you wanted to work with us.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are good friends of mine. And I want to work with my friends, and it's something that I really think I want to improve on as my own skill set of getting better as a coach, which will just inherently make me better as a player as well, because there's going to be more of an incentive to learn more and be able to articulate correctly.
So like, I guess along those lines, having played Poker Out Loud now for the first time and done it, and you did it for both the subscription site and the vloggers, did you find that that level of articulating your thought process was kind of like, I guess, a sneak peek of how much potentially distilling your thoughts down into a coaching mechanism can potentially help you?
I think it's a good start, and I know making content for the site is going to be different than talking about a specific hand in question, but I definitely got a lot more comfortable doing it for the Vloggers edition because we obviously recorded the sub site first and then the Vloggers edition one. Yeah. So I felt a lot more comfortable in the Vloggers one just from the previous experience before that, but also just from doing streaming and just talking about poker as much as I do anyways. It wasn't really too much of a task for me to kind of speak out what I think in my brain.
I think that, and it didn't go unnoticed by the audience for what it's worth, but I think like what made you the true shining star of that series thus far isn't necessarily your actual ability or any hands that you played, but it was the wherewithal to speak from each spot from a generic perspective first.
Yeah.
Right? So it was like, this is what my range would do in this particular spot facing the action that we've faced thus far. Now I'm going to break this down more to a hand level. And so like going from that macro to micro approach really aligns with everything that we've ever attempted to teach. I think that like that was the moment where it was like, okay, like beyond his brand power or the fact that like he's out there socially and garnering a lot of respect of his peers, this to me is the real asset that you can bring to the table.
Yeah. Like the way I normally see the game is, and like most of the times, especially earlier in the Poker Out Loud for the Vloggers edition, I was more approaching a spot to begin with and then seeing what my cards were after, which makes it funny to see like as a viewer perspective because it looks like I already know what my cards are. Like I remember there's a couple times like I have hands that would never do anything other than fold. Yeah. But it's like, why are you talking about it? And it's like, I don't even know what my cards are yet. Yeah. Like, I don't even know what I have.
Also, that's the point. That's the whole point of the show.
Right.
And I know sometimes that's kind of lost on the viewer because they're juggling the idea of wanting to get better at poker, wanting to hear these in-depth thoughts, but also wanting the hand to move along.
Right. So like, it's kind of like, it's obviously not easy to go through all those things in perfect timing. And a lot of it was going to be when things first happen in the sense of not repeating myself. Like, let's say if I'm on the button and like under the gun opens and cut off 3 bets, right? I'm not going to have to talk about the button spot again. But for the first time, it's going to be something that I'm going to talk about because that's how the spot kind of arises.
Yeah, no, it's super sharp. Chin can kind of talk to this too. We used to do the same thing. The very first Orbit, like season 1, season 2, we would just talk about the formations that would present themselves. So like, you're on the button and it's like, it folds to you. It's like, okay, well, here's how I expect these blinds to play against me. And I'll never have to talk about this again in the future, but I can reference back to this kind of foundational knowledge that I'm laying out there.
Yeah.
A lot of talk in the chat of how much to cut your hair. Some people are saying 10K. Some people are saying more than 9 big blinds per 100. So
are we like the Yankees? We need to have them have a clean shave.
Yeah, clean shave. Like
hair.
Once you're in, it's like, you look at fucking Matt Hunt. He came in, he never went back. You know what I'm saying? He came in, he never went back. That's how it is. You see what I'm saying? He went straight.
Now that you pointed out, I'm a little uncomfortable with the fact that everybody's shaving their head in the company now.
I have to not shave my head as a proof that you don't have to.
You're Sunshine.
Yeah.
Have you seen Remember the Titans?
Go on. So I think I've seen it, but go on.
This like backup quarterback transfers in, and he's like this surfer kid with like long hair, and they're in East Coast or East Coast school in Virginia.
Yeah.
And they just like refer to him as Sunshine because he's a little bit, little off.
Sure.
You know, doesn't really assimilate to the environment all that well. But we need that. We need a little uniqueness.
Some
All right,
unassimilation is good.
Yeah.
Landon, talk to me or talk to the people like what your like first order of business is. What's like your 100 days look like? Like what's your first video? Like what do you have planned?
I think as of recent, we're going to look a little bit into how I'm preparing for this heads-up match and kind of take it from there. And then I think I'm going to do the mastermind in April.
Yeah, so to clarify, the course will come out in June.
Yeah.
And it may have some inclination as to like your prep process for heads up. Or
Yeah.
maybe just overall prep process in general.
Yeah. How I approach studying things.
Yeah, the mastermind is actually coming out next Saturday.
Okay.
So what date is that? The 10th, 11th, something like that?
Yeah. Today's the 1st, so next Saturday would be...
Yeah. So a week and 2 days.
Yeah.
Sounds like 10th.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Might be the 9th.
Have you chosen a topic on that yet? Because if not, I have a suggestion.
You have a pretty good suggestion. So Hunt's kind of talked to me a little bit about it.
Okay.
But...
Yeah, I think that it would be really great to, and this is something that I covered in my previous mastermind to some degree, so I think it's a good double down process.
Yeah.
But also your proficiency with solvers makes it pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I notice our students running into a lot is the difficulty of live poker and the lowered SPRs, right?
Okay.
So basically in general, like if you sign up for a 1-2 game, but the average opening size is 7x,
yeah,
and it goes multi-way a lot,
yeah,
what people don't recognize is that you're actually playing higher stakes.
Right.
Just for fewer big blinds, right? Because all that really dictates the stakes is, number one, the dead money in the pot that you're going after. But number two, when those pot odd rules are broke, right? So instead of them understanding that there's $3 dead in the middle and 3x accomplishes the same as 7x, once that rule is broken and people are opening larger now all that matters is the SPR.
Yeah.
So once somebody opens, like, you know, let's make it a nice round number of 8x, that's actually the equivalent of opening 4x at a higher stake, right? Or maybe slightly less because 1-3 to 2-5 is, or 1-2 to 2-5 is
a little bit, yeah.
Jump. But yeah, so you're effectively playing 2-5, and if you're buying in for $300, then you're playing 2-5, 60 big blinds effective.
Yeah.
And this is something that I think is largely lost on everybody. But I think starting with that macro concept of in most of your small stake environments, you're actually playing higher stakes at a lower quote unquote big blind threshold.
Yeah.
Starting with that, now all of a sudden we can go through a bunch of spots where we're looking at 50 big blind ranges, 40 big blind ranges, 60 big blind ranges.
Right. Because you shouldn't be defending versus an 8x the same you should be defending versus a 2x.
Right. And specifically, I guess you shouldn't be, because we're not going to be doing too much pre-flop solving, right?
Right.
So more specific. So now we have to find a way to translate that into the work that we're going to do.
Yeah.
We know we shouldn't be defending versus an 8x the same way we should a 2x, but we don't really have the means to get to equilibrium.
Right. You don't have the direct range.
So instead, what we can do, is just understand that when someone opens 8x, it's the equivalent of a 3x at the stake higher.
Yeah.
Except our stack is cut in half.
Right.
So now, what are we supposed to defend versus a 3x with 50 blinds?
Yeah.
Right.
We just have like some suited hands and some pairs. And...
Yeah. And maybe it changes a lot. Maybe it only changes a little, but it's definitely going to change a lot post.
Yeah.
You're going to see so much more check raising taking place on flops. Like the out of position post flop aggression factor, I think will go up, relative to the fact that the SPR is now greatly lower.
Yeah. Like you see it in MTTs all the time. If you're playing like 20 big blind poker and like button opens and you defend a big blind and you flop a top pair, and a lot of your check raises are going to be with some top pairs, depending on what the kicker is.
Yeah.
It's a mixed frequency, but it's going to be a lot more at 20 big blinds than it would be at 200.
Right. Essentially, what happens is reverse implied odds go largely out the window.
Yeah.
Realization takes the massive forefront. These are all the principles that we hope you will convey in the mastermind.
I'm going to try.
Okay.
Do my best,
Yeah.
You'll be there.
I think it'll be good. I will be there. I'll be overseeing the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I'm sure the people are excited about it as well. This is not April Fool's. A lot of bickering in the chat. When do they say it? When do they say it's not real? When do they say April Fool's? It's not gonna happen. It's actual real life. We did sign the young prince. He will.
Look how happy.
There he is.
I look so happy.
He kind of look like a retired kind of like football player from Miami University. Like
I am from Boca.
A punter, you mean?
Yeah.
Nah. He kind of looks like a linebacker.
Come on, man.
Punter.
Come on. That's an
That's
insult.
not a punter.
That's an insult to linebackers. He's long and lanky. Oh,
Not-
tight end.
Yeah,
we'll,
but you
we'll
can't,
give him a
you
tight
can't
end.
tell in that.
That was a
photo,
pretty
bro.
decent tight end to be
Yeah,
honest.
he's a flex. You
I
know?
got you, bro. Anyway, if you all enjoyed the conversation, a lot of chat in the chat about Berkey dropping gems and that little piece that he's talking about how the game fluctuates based on the opening size rather than the big blind. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment below. What do you defend when they open fucking 8x? Sometimes you just look at the ace jack off and you're like, damn, this sucks. You know, you just throw it in the muck. Sometimes you call. Sometimes you 3-bet. I don't know. Roll it. Like, hit a little button on your phone. If it hits a 10, you fucking 3-bet it. I don't know. Anyway, so there was a match last night. It was a big deal. The Twitterverse was going crazy. People were talking about apex predators. People were like, oh, all this shit. Like, the people were like, oh, this is like Ali Foreman and shit. Like, people were just like, this is insane. Rumble in the Jungle. People were down on the floor, like, just like have fucking no chips, coming all the way back, potentially winning, and then ended up winning. What just happened, man? What did I watch? I was there for like 5 hours. I thought the thing was over in 2. And then all of a sudden, the apex predator comes in and just
Did you watch
know
the
what
whole
I'm saying?
thing?
I watched the whole thing. I don't
Yeah.
even know if I'm proud of it.
I'm not. Honestly, it was like watching a monkey fuck a football. I've never been able to not turn away from something the way that this match was to me.
All right, so just to tell the people what we're talking about, because, you know, I prefaced it a little bit, but Daniel Negreanu and Phil Hellmuth had the first of their potentially 3 high-stakes duels, maybe more
Potentially
now.
5.
Yeah, potentially 5 of their high-stakes duels. The first one was for 100,000, and Phil Hellmuth came out on top. So, Berkey, tell the people about the football and the monkey.
Well, there's an old phrase from the underground games I used to play in Pittsburgh where, like, if it was a really cheap price to call, somebody laid you just some stupid price, like, you know, they min raise pre or they bet like 1/10 pot or something like that. You go, $5? I'd watch a monkey fuck a football for $5, and you flip it in. But like that's what I felt like I was watching. It was just like such a. Honestly, I don't remember who wrote this on Twitter, but they put it best. It was like as if the death penalty was on the line for the loser. Like I've never seen people cling to their chips the way that had happened in this match. And, you know, to be fair, I really think they should introduce an ante at some point, if not from the beginning, because it does really alter the pre-flop play a lot. There was a point where this was the hand that like made me just, my head exploded. I was like, okay, I got to turn this off at least for a minute. I don't think I can watch any more of this. Hellmuth gets crippled early. I guess it was like 2 hours in, you were saying. Daniel has a 96 to 4K lead. No, sorry. It was like 93 to 7. And Daniel opens min on the button. This is the one right here. So they put in, 1,000 pre, so it was 2-4. And Hellmuth started the hand with 6K. So he has 15 bigs. Daniel opens the button with trash. And Hellmuth somehow doesn't find a shove with King 9 suited, which to me seems crazy. I know there's no ante, but like feels like that's just a rip in this spot.
It might be close because like you do want to have some hands you call with, and like suited hands kind of play pretty fine.
Yeah, Queen 9, Jack 9, 10 9. These aren't going to really reshove at 15. Seems like we don't really need the King 9. We could just have the King 7 instead, the King 6.
He didn't fold.
But the point, the greater point you're making is that even if it's a mix, he's probably just not doing it.
Right. He's
Well, I know
almost
there's a
certainly
hand
just
for
pure
sure
call.
that Phil folded Queen Jack suited for like 7 bigs.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
We can't miss that one. It's insane. But anyway,
I mean,
so
you could have stepped away from the screen, you know.
So no, I did not miss that one.
No.
So he calls and it comes King Queen Jack all spades. Not the worst flop for his hand, especially whenever you're at 1.5 SPR. He checks. Daniel bets small. I think he bets like 1K into 3.
Looks like 500.
Oh, okay.
So he
even
bets
better.
like 1 big blind.
Perfect. So he bets 1 big blind. Phil calls. Now Phil has 4,500, 5K behind. The pot's 4K, so effectively 1-to-1 SPR. Turn is a jack. Daniel bets small again. He bets 1/3 pot, 1,500. And Phil just like finds the fold as if Daniel is just some incompetent poker player who could never in a million years have a bluff here. Like,
He could just have like a worse king.
He could just have 9-5. Well, there's no worse king. You're just chopping.
No, I mean like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
He could just have like a king with a spade.
Yeah, but it's just like
Like
to find a fold there in a spot where you are 100% equity, right? Like I'm overemphasizing that because it's that egregious to me. But it really is one of those things where it's like, yes, of course you lose to some hands. He just has king queen sometimes. He just has a flop straight sometimes.
Yeah.
He just has a flush sometimes. Sometimes he has a jack. Whatever. But not enough to justify a fold.
I think that this match to both of them kind of just means a lot more than the money, of course.
For sure.
So like they have that under the pretense. Like from what I've seen from the match, which was a good 3.5 hours before Joey and I like cut the stream because of some other things, it seemed like Daniel was just kind of overfolding every spot correctly as he should.
Well,
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
I do agree with that part. Like there were a
Agreed.
lot of good folds, I think, from Daniel. But there was also like to go back to Berkey's point, and I'll let you finish, Berk. Like there was also just a lot of spots where I'm unsure. Like obviously I don't play this for a living. Like I don't play heads up singles for a living. But like there was a lot of hands where, like Hellmuth has like 8 to 12 bigs, and Negreanu has like ace deuce of clubs, queen 10 of spades. Like these hands that like I think that if I was in his spot, I would just shove.
The ace
That
deuce
he's
I
like-
understood because it was a limp pot. So Hellmuth just limped the button. I can understand checking that back.
Yeah.
I can understand checking
I
that
agree
back
with that.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But there was other hands. Like
There were
queen
other
10 that
hands.
he's just opening, and
Yeah.
I'm like okay, like I don't want to be too critical because like I haven't ran these spots and like or anything like that. But like I know if I was in his shoes, I would just shove this hand.
Yeah.
You know,
I
it just seems like a very natural hand.
It might even be better based on the overfold that's taking place.
right.
Like it might be in theory, like you might want to limp some hands, or you might want to like check back, but like with the overfold,
Yeah, like seeing the queen jack of diamonds hit the muck.
yeah,
It's just
It
like
just kinda says
shoving.
everything.
Shoving
it
just
shows you
absolutely
everything you
cringe.
need to know.
I think Daniel adjusted incredibly well when they were deep,
Yeah,
and I think Phil didn't bother to adjust. He just played his game.
yeah,
And he got absolutely punished for it. But by the time he had crippled himself short, now Daniel's adjustments are rendered useless, right? So now I think Daniel's over adjusted once he has the 15-1 chip lead. There was a spot where he could have ended it. He just flops trips fours versus Phil.
yeah.
I guess it was like right before he
Versus a
crippled
3-bet.
Yeah, versus a 3-bet.
pop, yeah.
And it's 2 hearts on the flop. Phil just has 9s, and Daniel goes for the trap.
Yeah,
And it's just like, I don't care what you think of Hellmuth. 2 things aren't going to occur. He's not going to overfold to you on a dynamic. Or sorry, he is going to overfold. He's not going to hero fold
no,
hands that stack off
Correct.
on a dynamic texture. So when he has overpairs, he just always goes broke.
yeah,
And secondly, he's not going to bluff with the hands you're trying to keep in.
right.
So if he has ace king and you're afraid of him like folding it, it doesn't
Right.
matter. You just don't stack him when he holds that hand.
You only stack him if he drills
Yeah,
an
if he
ace or a
improves.
king, right?
Yeah, and maybe, right? Because like now it has to be the non-king of hearts, non-ace of hearts,
Right.
for him to improve, and he has to like not hero fold later. And you saw it take place. Daniel ends up betting half of Phil's stack on the river,
Yeah.
instead of all of it, when all of it was like less than pot.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know this hand, the hand began with Phil limping the button, and then Daniel goes for the raise from the big blind with 6-4 suited, gets limp 3-bet really small, and Daniel calls. The flop comes, I believe, 4-4
Five.
deuce,
8.
4-4.
I thought it was 5.
No, 8 was the turn.
Oh,
It was the turn.
It was 4,
8 of
5,
hearts on the turn.
8 of hearts. Yeah.
Yeah. So 4-4-5. It goes check bet, like pretty sizable bet. I think it was like half pot. And then instead of the raise, Daniel chooses the call, and then the pot is like really small. The hand would have been over the match would have been over if Daniel goes for the check raise. At least
Yeah.
we presume
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the case.
Yeah, it may
Okay.
have been 4-4 deuce. I could be incorrect there because I don't think 6-7 completed on the turn.
Yeah, I thought it was like 4-4 deuce, turn 8 of hearts or something
Yeah.
like that.
But like once the hearts
which is-
fill, it's done
Yeah,
for
it's
Phil,
over.
man. He'll
Yeah,
just find a
obviously.
way to not lose it all.
And he'll only
Okay,
value bet with
let's talk.
flushes.
Let's talk
and-
about more general stuff. So obviously we're gonna see a rematch, right?
Mhm.
Berkey said that when they were deep, Daniel was the clear favorite, not close. Do you think then that when things get shallow, Hellmuth is the favorite? Is that how is
Unless
is that how
Daniel,
we're thinking?
yeah, unless Daniel works. I think he just needs to work a lot on his push folds. I think he needs to work a lot on his out of position game. as best I could tell, he was just like letting Phil over-realize position by a tremendous amount. So there are two things taking place here whenever you're facing an opponent who almost purely limps the button. Number one, he's playing the smallest pots in position and the biggest pots out of position. And that's pretty favorable for you. So you feel like you're willing to give a little bit back and kind of take advantage of the positional edge. But you're getting defaulted that positional edge anyway. You're not really giving that much up by bluffing him pre-flop when you're out of position. And Daniel just like snap checked all of his nothing, right? Where some of that nothing qualifies as a nice raise and take it. Because what we know for sure was Phil was limp folding. And because Phil was limp folding, and because the raise and take it was so viable, Daniel now sized down with a value dense range. So instead of like having a complete range, he chose a bounded one that he like just barely 3x'd with, or like 2.75x'd with out of position. When in reality, he'd probably be better served to like have a complete range and 3.5x and just take advantage of the fact that Phil massively overfolds.
Yeah, Phil was like hitting, like there was some hands that were like Queen 7 suited that was like limp folding. Like Queen Deuce suited, I remember limp folding too. It was like pretty wild. I was like, man, if I'm limping these hands, I don't think we can always fold.
Right, and it's like you have to remember the upside also of like the times that he gets stubborn and starts calling, but then has to just give up flop because he just overfolds every node of the game tree, right? Like we just know that to be true. And granted, that doesn't allow you to have multi-street pressure, but you don't need to. Right, you just accumulate so many chips.
Well, it just depends on board texture changes, but yeah.
Well, it's not that you can never have multi-street pressure. It's just that you can't often.
You just
choose
can't
your
go
best
off on
bluff
bricks
candidates.
very much. Yeah.
Yeah, like quite often you're just shutting down some of your best bluffing candidates because he's already overfolded the previous streets.
Right. You just gain a bunch of EV when he folds flop.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just doesn't float wide enough. And
Right.
I already saw Daniel tweet that I think he'd lay 200K on himself at 1.5 to 1.
Yeah.
So he's out for blood, you know.
I got to tell you, it's a tempting bet to take because it's very hard to be a 3-2 favorite in
a sit and go.
In a sit and go format. And truthfully, like if Phil gets out of the deep part of the game unscathed, if they arrive at the
shallow
push,
stack depth?
if they arrive at the push fold portion at like 20 bigs effective or even 25 effective,
Yeah, it can go either way. You just get 9s versus 8s. You just flip and lose.
But both
like,
or you get
both
7s
players
versus
are
3s and neither one of them put the
That's what
money
I'm
in.
saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand. Like, okay, even if they get down to the 20 big line, like, yeah, I agree it favors Phil, but neither are playing a strategy that.
But that's why I think it
is-
favors Phil.
so I
Because
feel like
Daniel will try to correct to something more optimal, like the 7-6 suited rip, right? Like now all of a sudden he's trying to take advantage of button limps.
I guess Daniel's just betting on the fact that he's going to have more chips before they get to that point. Like he's going to win enough chips to where when Phil has 20 big blinds, the variance isn't going to
He
exist.
won 95% of the chips.
Yeah,
So the
he
market,
did.
the market still has.
I don't think his bet's
Boys.
the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, go ahead, Chen.
Boys, the market still has Negreanu as a heavy favorite. Heavy favorite.
More than 1.5?
I would have to check that. I'll check it now. But what do we think about that? Do you think that he should have gone down in price or what?
My immediate reaction after the match was, this is unfortunate. I'd like to bet Daniel. Or sorry, I would like to bet Phil in this format, but I think his price is going to be bad. Like, I wouldn't ever bet Phil at less than 1.5 to 1. But I kind of feel like you're making a fair amount of money above that price.
Like 2 to 1.
I think like even 1.5 to 1, you're probably making money. It's tough to say because I do think Daniel just totally outclasses him when they're deep.
Yeah.
But he's just so hard to bust at those depths.
Yeah.
Because even if you have 95% of the chips, if Phil has 20 blinds, like that 20 blinds is hard to get.
It is, but it isn't, right?
You're viewing it from the perspective of somebody who's like defending appropriately and like
it's definitely hard to it's hard to like cut the head off the dragon.
yeah, it's just like if this guy refuses to put his last chip in the pot, it's really hard to get it.
At some point he's gonna have to put the chips.
You would think
it's so
he found
that's white magic,
pair.
man. He found a full with Queen Jack of Diamonds. Like
Yeah.
that's white
Just
magic.
get a better
That's
spot.
white
Just-
magic Apex Predator.
He mucked the stone flip to get into an 80-20.
Maybe that's not a flip you want to take, you know? I mean, I don't know, man.
That Queen Jack fold was, but then Daniel honestly made one of like, I think his fold was worse than Phil's King 9.
The Jack 10 one?
Yeah. I legitimately think you could argue that this is worse than the King 9 fold.
I guess the reason, like, where I think he was coming up with his logic for why he folded the turn was probably because he doesn't think that Phil has enough bluffs on the turn that don't follow through on the river. So that he's already lost, but he has a gut shot.
There's no river. He's all in on the turn.
He's all in.
Yeah.
Wait, is he all in?
He has 3.5 big blinds behind.
Oh, he jammed the turn?
Well, you're missing the entire pocket structure here, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Phil bet third pot on the flop.
Yeah.
Daniel called, leaving himself with 4 big blinds. He started the hand with only 9 big blinds.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm assuming it was a limped pot, right? So
Yeah.
So this is pre-flop.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 1,600 each, 3,200 in the pot. They go to a flop of King 10 deuce.
Flush draw.
I can't tell. Yeah, that's 2 hearts. Okay.
Yeah.
So King 10 deuce, 2 hearts. Phil flops a gut shot. Check. Phil bets.
Phil flops nothing.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry, I was thinking Queen 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, he flops stone nothing. He bets 1.5 big blinds.
Okay.
Now, Daniel started this hand with only 9 blinds. Okay. So now he's put in 2.5 of those 9.
Yeah.
No, more, right?
I just think on flop, like you're like in theory, I think you just you either call and get the money on any turn. You just rip it out.
I'm
like,
way off. He didn't have 9 blinds. So he started the hand with 8,600 blinds, 1,600. So he started the hand with like 5.5 blinds. He's already put in 2.5 of them,
Yeah, you just rip.
and then he just folds turn
Yeah.
to a shove, which is it's.
It's not it.
What are we doing, guys? What are we doing? This just makes no sense. You're getting almost 3-1 in a
He
spot.
doesn't even.
where, like,
I mean, even to make an argument for like a fold, like he doesn't have hearts in his hand either. Like Phil could just have a flush draw.
who could also just have Jack 9, and you have him dead.
Daniel minus 159.
Wow, that's better than the price he's offering. No wonder he's not getting any action.
He'll
Yeah.
probably pump it up to 160, minus 160.
Might have to.
Got to pump it up.
Yeah, gotta,
Minus
Gotta go
159.
for
I still think. I mean, it's hard, man. Like I was having a lot of discussions about just how theoretically bad Hellmuth is, but how does he makes it happen, man?
Look
Like,
at that mistake that Daniel makes. He folds 87% equity with 3.5 blinds.
Yeah, but Phil folds 100% equity.
But at least he,
Like
but at least he
before.
had 15 blinds.
One of them is a student of white magic. The other one is not.
Right, like Hellmuth preserved the 15 blind stack. At least that's workable in some sort of
Right.
capacity. Or he preserved the 12 blind stack, whatever it was. Daniel preserved a 3.5 blind stack with 87% equity hitting.
Yeah,
the
there was
muck.
even myself. Like I was like, are these graphics?
Everybody thought the
Watching them
stacks
just
were wrong.
fold- Because it's natural, right? Like,
Yeah.
like hands are hitting the muck or like not shoving off like 6 big blinds.
Or
and I'm
just
like, what is
folding.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I'm like, what is going on, right? Like, this is kind of insane. Anyway, okay, so
What
it's
did
a
we
toss-up
learn?
for the next one?
What
Who,
did we-
who should we bet on?
What did we learn from this
don't
match?
know, man.
What are our takeaways?
1.6 to 1 is pretty attractive for Phil. I gotta tell you, like he might just be the master of this format. Obviously
never
he's
loses this
so.
format.
I mean, the thing is that like obviously he's insanely lucky because in order to win this match, he has to win. Like his blue line has to be greater than his opponents all the time.
Yeah,
Always.
he never outbluffed. Like he never bluffs more than someone.
Right.
He'll
His
never
red-
win red line. Right?
No, he'll never
win.
win red line. So his blue, like he literally just has to trust that he will have the best hand at showdown more often than his opponent.
And the problem with that strategy is that your opponent knows. No. Like your opponent knows you're a blue line player.
Honestly, that might be what's good about the strategy because they don't go for value anymore. They have to start checking back top pair. Like Daniel made a lot of really tight folds that were good. He made a lot of checkbacks
That were good.
where like Phil rivered the nuts and Daniel has like top pair
yeah,
on
like
a
a hand that's worth a
non-intuitive.
bet.
Yeah, and it's just like I can't
knuckle down.
possibly get called.
You just
by
really
worse.
have to think about what you can get called by. It's
Yeah.
kind of spooky.
It,
It's pretty spooky, man.
For everybody out there watching, this is what the 2-5 streets look like. You should all be watching these matches and taking notes because I think Daniel played it close to the best that he could, with the exception of like what happened when he got short. I think he played very poorly when he was short.
Yeah.
And he probably didn't game plan for that. right? Like I think he just game planned to
He
to
game
win
planned
red
for
line
the
war.
overall strategy and how to win all the chips. And
Yeah, and not really remembering that like Phil changes when he has the chip lead. He does red line a little bit more.
yeah,
He does some things like the queen 8.
it's game flow.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, man. There's a pulse to environments like this. I think the comment or the remark of them treating it as though the death penalty was on the line is
It's a good- it's a
perfect
good analogy.
It's a perfect encapsulation of game flow,
Yeah,
right?
But why? Why do you think that is? Because they're both rich. It's not like 100K.
it's a legacy thing. It's
Oh,
a legacy
pride.
thing.
Yeah.
Like Daniel can't take it losing to Phil. Phil can't take it losing to Daniel.
Daniel's demeanor, like from the point where he had like the 20-1 chip lead, and he's just on top of the world saying, "I told wire to fucking wire. I'm the apex predator up
Yeah.
in this bitch."
Yeah.
And then it just like they got even.
The
color-
apex changed.
The color just drained from his face, man.
Yeah.
It's just like, huh? Whoa.
Well.
You got even, didn't you? Wow. Can't fucking believe this is happening to
Yeah.
me right now.
I
All right,
would
let's get some fashion advice. Let's get some fashion advice from my man Berkey. Berkey always comes in. You know, if you guys follow Berkey for a while, he's usually in there with, you know, sometimes he comes with a bow tie, he comes with the vest. You know, he comes in like different. You know, sometimes he comes in with like
Marty
you know,
McFly.
the lumberjack look. Like he comes in with all different moves, right? Yesterday, Negreanu came in with the red velvet game.
I
Right?
was feeling that.
Can we see like a little, like, can we go back to one of the hand histories? Maybe he has the red velvet on, and we could get a little bit of that.
That's some
look.
flavor
All
right
the
there.
Red velvet.
That's
He had
flavor.
the red velvet. Dude, he's actually snuck in with like he had the black and red diet cherry Coke too. Like
He's
it
a
matched,
genius.
bro.
That's not vegan approved.
I understand. I mean, I'm just saying.
It's
He
marketing
had the
approved, is what it
the-
is.
The black cherry diet Coke. He also had, you know, the accessories going on. He had the red the red iWatch, you know, the Apple Watch. He had the red lace
The red
on
band.
it.
The red
Dude,
band.
Yeah, he had the
I'm
red
digging
band
those blue
going.
glasses.
Can we talk about the props that he pulled out too for Phil? He pulled out the tissues.
He pulled out a towel.
He pulled out a
He
towel.
waved the towel.
Phil pulled
you
out
know.
the Sour Patch Kids for £5.
Yeah,
The
that was-
burger.
All right, wait. Okay, let's go. First, I want to address the fashion game. You know, compare and contrast between the two opponents, and then after that, we need to talk about the fucking marketing genius of the Apex Predator.
The food. The
Because this
food
guy-
game is strong.
Like, he's a marketing genius. That's all I'm gonna say.
He's got the brain fuel going, the Sour Patch flowing. You know, he's
I think
everywhere.
he signed Negreanu to rep Brain Fuel before the match was over. Yeah,
That's
no,
real. All right, so
I thought
did you
Negreanu
like-
looked great. That outfit is sheer fire. It's difficult to pull off. I think like everything from the like blue framed glasses,
to the contrast of the red.
it was so nice. And like the set is red and black, so like he just really
He went
kind
after
of-
it.
Yeah, it was top notch shit there by Negreanu.
Okay, and then let's go with Hellmuth. He came
Phil
in.
looked like he was ready to put in a session at 5'10".
he's ready to rock. But I do want to talk about, like, bro, he first opening line, he's like, I gotta drink this.
Yeah,
The brain fuel before we start. And he drinks it, right? Boom. That's like 50K right there, right off the jump you got. Then after that, he had the Sour Patch Kids
Poker Brat
edition,
mix.
Poker Brat edition lined up right there where the camera can't miss it, right?
Yep.
Puts it on the
100K.
floor perfectly.
Hits him with a one-liner of like, gotta have my Sour Patch Kids.
I'm
Gotta have
telling
my
you.
snacks.
Yeah.
Then he had some Chinese fucking restaurant
He did.
like hit him with the dumplings. Like, he had the soup
Oh,
dumpling game, right? That was, I don't know how much they paid him for that. But bro, how
Comes back
what
and
are we-
wins it.
what's
It's
happening?
a business, man.
All I know is, bro, listen, whoever this, like, I don't know who's in charge of, like who that Tom from above the felt better get you some fucking deals, Berkey, because what the fuck is going on?
I'm just
Why-
like eating burgers, farm to table.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have it any other way. There was a
Telling you,
picture.
man.
There was a
You gotta
picture
get a
of-
ghost sponsorship.
I do need that ghost sponsorship for sure. We need to follow up with that. There was an image of Hellmuth like standing up bemoaning something, and he's like taking his hat off and like arching his back so that his belly. I tweeted. Somebody tweeted the picture, and I replied, and I said, "This looks like the image you send your friend when it's 4 a.m. and a bigger game is about to start with this guy who hasn't slept in 3 days."
Yeah, but he's on brain fuel.
He's on brain fuel, bro. He's on the brain fuel. I mean,
He's
I
wired.
don't know who's gonna win, man. I don't know. All I know is that this guy keeps winning. We keep talking shit. We keep saying like he keeps showing up and he keeps fucking winning. And like,
I guess
yesterday, I
a
got the text
question.
messages.
A question like I would have is like how to make it more entertaining, right? Because like people,
I think it's great.
like a lot of people were saying like this is so slow. This is so.
It was just so long.
Everybody
but it's the
will.
style.
Everybody will always complain though, man. Like,
Yeah.
Poker Out Loud is too slow. Live at the Bike is too slow. Poker
Yeah.
After Dark is too slow. Why won't you listen to Table? Like everybody wants something different. You can't please the masses.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, and I mean this with love, especially because we have an audience right now, but nobody knows what the fuck they want.
Yeah.
You just have to jam it down their throat.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to give them a product that's well produced and has some sort of like story arc to it, and just say
There was
Take it or
definitely a
leave it.
story arc to that. Going down to 5K. I guess the only problem would be like it was a very long stream, right? Like to get all of it, but you could just not watch it and watch it on your own time.
Or
Like,
yeah,
they're just gonna give you the content. And you're gonna watch
It's just
it.
it's the thing is like it's a trade off, right?
There
guys?
it is.
Like, oh boy, stop, guys.
Trademarked
Come on.
Aria hat.
Tell me
This
that
is
you haven't sent that
ridiculous.
picture at some point where you're like, yo, this guy's about to start 50,
You
100.
have to sneak. You have to sneak the picture so they don't know that you take it.
Yeah.
You got to sneak it.
Yeah, you just like send that pic. It's like,
This
hey,
guy's
this guy
here.
is buried heaps at 5'10". He wants to start 50, 100. You in?
Auto book.
The real
I
star of
just
the
know
show.
that I just know that I've been at Bellagio and this person shows up.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to go.
Yeah, the real star of the show
I'm-
was Shulman. There was like a 5-minute stretch where he was laughing so hard that he absolutely
take
couldn't
it.
get a word out. He tried so desperately to get a word out.
Couldn't do it.
He was just giggling like a schoolchild. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I do agree. I think it's a trade-off. Kind of, I was kind of alluding to that. It's a trade-off where we have these two massive poker icons, and they have like this little kind of pseudo rivalry now. I guess like they're kind of rivals again.
I mean,
sort of.
definitely, right? You see what's going on Twitter. Daniel's taking shots that he can't win in 50Ks, like
25K.
25K
I
plus.
like Daniel's side of that.
And-
that bet
I
for
agree.
sure.
And Phil's saying that Daniel's coming after his legacy, and Daniel's saying, "Look, I ain't taking anything away from you, man. You're the 1500 champ at the WSOP, but I mean, come on now, the GOAT,
If anybody's
The
taking away
GOAT.
from Hellmuth's legacy, it's fucking Joe McKeon
Joey,
or Darren Elias. Those guys are nipping at his goddamn heels.
Joey gets it done, man. Second in
they
the
both.
WPT,
Yeah, I mean,
first.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't think anyone's legacy will be affected on this. I know I've seen some of the other shows. Some of the other shows kind of allude to like, oh, is this a legacy play? I don't think so. I think whatever happens within the next 5 years in terms of
We'll see if they're even around in
wins?
5 years.
oh wow.
Classic,
mean,
right?
This kid.
Classic, right?
This is the new face
This
of the company.
this is like it's the over where it's like where Phil's coming after the young kid where it's like see if you when he comes out to Dwan like we'll see if you
Yeah.
but now it's like when you get older it's like let's see if you've been playing in 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I'm just
I
making
think-
a
I think
joke, man. I'm just here for the memes, Just here for
I mean,
I'm here for the memes.
listen, there's a little snippet where Hellmuth is like, I'm about to be a billionaire. That's what he said. That's how
What?
much money he has.
Right. So the point is, then he's obviously
I'm
he's not playing for money, right? He's not trying to beat Daniel. He's just he does not want to lose to Daniel. Like
I think all he wants to demonstrate is that he is as lucky as we think he is. Like I
he
think
kind of showed it.
yeah, I think he has a horseshoe wedged so far up his ass and he knows it. He's just like, I'm going to teach all these guys something about math. I'm going to do everything wrong
He is the math.
and still fucking win. And then what? What are you going to say then?
What? I mean, if he wins 3 straight, what can you say?
What can you say?
What?
He's the GOAT.
What
at,
will we say?
He's
What can you say? What can you say if he wins when he wins the next one?
Yeah, he's the GOAT at 150 hand sample. He's just the best at
But
playing
then,
150
what else are you coming
hands.
after him next for? He's just gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if
Just
you're-
gonna win another bracelet. And say, what are you gonna say?
right.
The problem is this, Berkey. Like, he just keeps winning.
I know.
And like,
He keeps
How-
taking W's. You
Well,
gotta
well,
eat
here's-
the W's.
Here's what we talk about all the time, right? In tournaments, it's not about the number of pots you win, right? All that really matters is finding and carving the path throughout the number of hands that are dealt in the entire event that allows you to hold the trophy, right? And Hellmuth, somehow, some way,
15 times.
bobs and weaves in a way that he navigates the exact path that will dictate a W over a 150 hand sample. What can you do, man? You can't argue with
I
it.
can't wait till after it's all said and done. He just says something along the lines like, "Look, I know how this game is played. This is my game. You know, like I know the math, but fuck the math. You know, he's like, I know I'm not supposed to fold Queen Jack suited, but
Yeah.
what can you do when I'm holding the trophy and you're sitting there bubbling? You know,
Seven big blinds.
Not only does he have he has the most bracelets, but also has the most second places, bro. Like it's his record at WSOP is disgusting.
Yeah.
Talking about WSOP, right? They announced that they're going to have the 2021 WSOP this fall, starting September 30th, going into November 23rd. So we're looking at a pretty long series. It is not an April Fool's joke, at least
they said
not
that. Look, it says it right there on the tweet.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, I mean, let's go, right?
I have a
This is
feeling
what
that EDC is about to get announced for Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, they have all these people, right? It's going to be crazy. I mean, so they have I believe their opening event is called the Reunion. If I skimmed really quickly through the
big
events,
reunion.
It's a nice name. What do we expect? I think we're going to see some massive crowds, man. Like, given the way that poker is kind of roaring back in America, which is interesting. Because I was listening to some European podcasts, right? So a couple of the Euro podcasts, and it's not the same. Effectively, a lot of people are saying that we're living in two separate poker worlds right now.
Yeah.
America is like itching to
Booming.
play live poker. Yeah,
Well,
they're like
we're
as
in
soon
an
as there's a live
unregulated
poker-
market, and they're in a regulated
Right.
one.
Right. Euro and the rest of the world is like, bro, we don't give a fuck about live poker right now. Like,
Yeah.
we're good. Like, we're playing online. We're good. So it's interesting, like, you know, when we're saying like, oh, this is going to be huge, right? But like people that are, you know, potentially listening to us in other parts of the world, they're just like, what are you guys talking about? But this is kind of what we're talking about in America. It's just not like that.
Well,
It's
live
just,
was always difficult to facilitate in Europe, particularly. There just aren't a lot of stops, and on top of that, the majority of the stops that were taking place were being run by, you know, major online sites like GG, Stars rather, Party Poker. To a lesser degree, I guess Triton is affiliated with King's Casino or maybe King's app. I'm not certain. But
Yeah.
in any event, like a lot of online money was facilitating these live events as a means of marketing, right? But if their major market base doesn't give a shit about playing live and they're happy to just play the Irish Open $800 buy-in online, which now that model is certainly proven to be effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really not that much of a need for live online. But need I remind you, the last time the WSOP took place in person, we were playing in a fucking bowling alley with 10-handed tables, no air conditioning in the middle of the summer,
sounds
and
like,
an alternate line 1,000 deep in the fucking pavilion.
damn.
It's true.
That was pre-pandemic. We are
That's
going to
true.
need a second convention center for all the day ones this time around.
This is what I'm looking forward to, huh? For my first live WSOP.
Oh, it is a dog and pony show.
I mean, to be honest, like live tournaments when they came back, like when the Venetian started running stuff, like in the MSPT kind of came down, like all of these tournaments, like you played in them, like the Win 3,500, Win 1,600, like these tournaments, man, like they're crushing guarantees. Like people want to play.
That's nothing, dude.
Bitcoin is up.
Bitcoin is up.
The
Crypto
it
is booming.
Remarkable. The game. I mean, the play in these.
People thought people were gonna get better in these bigger tournaments, like the field wise, but when you get it's great. These are some good tournaments, man.
Yeah.
These are some really good tournaments.
The iron is hot, young man. Strike while you can.
Yeah.
This is probably as close to like Black Friday ish resurgence that I've ever seen. And I've been saying this for a while. I think tournaments are the gateway moving forward as far as like the ability to accumulate significant wealth in this game.
Yeah.
Private high stakes will always be there, and if you have a way in, that's awesome. It's going to be a means to an end to making 6 and 7 figures.
Yeah.
But
tournaments they're always going to be there.
There's no
stop
end in sight for 10Ks and below.
Right. Like these 1,600s, 3,500s, like even 5Ks depending on where.
Wait till you see the 5 diamond field.
Yeah, I haven't played that yet.
It's going to be record shattering. It's going to be, I think it's going to be 2,000 people.
Yeah. It's a 10K, right?
Yeah. What did we get last time, Shit? Like 1,300?
It was like 1,300. It was also record
breaking. I think it's going to destroy that.
Yeah.
It's going to be 2,000 people, and it's going to play equivalent to like, I don't know, a $50 re-entry.
$50 re on ACR.
On ACR, yeah. Like the amount of the financial barrier of entry is so low right now because money's devalued, and the people who did well during these downtimes did incredibly well.
Yeah.
And they just have a ton of money laying around for their hobbies.
Right.
And poker fulfills that in a large way.
Yeah.
The barrier of entry is so insanely low, financially speaking, for the vast majority of the fields. And the skill barrier of entry for tournaments is also relatively low if you just want to look at isolated results.
Yeah.
So in order to win one tournament...
I did it.
Yeah, you're a good player. But my point is, in order to win one tournament, you don't have to be world class.
Right.
Now, in order to be a professional tournament player,
yeah,
of course you have to accumulate those skills, but people who are playing tournaments don't think that way.
No, they just want to get first for whatever that is.
Yeah.
Normally, most of the time now it's 6 figures.
Yeah, sometimes you rip off $1.5 million for a $200 buy-in, and it's just like, we're going to play fucking everything.
We're fucking rich now, yeah.
That 25K starts to look real nice.
Look, yeah, it's not that expensive anymore, you
right,
know?
Right, so it's just like, that could be you. We have a lot of...
It is confirmed. It is confirmed that Vanessa is playing the 25K.
Is she really?
Yeah.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
I said if there's one 25K you want to play, it's the one in Florida.
Yeah, the Florida 25K
there's
is
two. There's the one in Australia and the one in Florida. If you want to play a 25K, that's
don't go to Australia.
the party poker one that they put on in Bahamas, if they do it again, is also
the PCA.
Incredible. It was a 10 million guarantee the first year.
The players, right?
No, that was SARS.
No, that was PSPC. That was different.
PSPC. Yeah. Okay, so this is something else.
They ran a 10 million guarantee 25K 2018.
Jeremiah played in that.
It was incredible. Oh my god, what an event! What
an event. I mean, yeah.
What an event! I didn't eat for 3 days. I got 14th in it. I lost a chip lead pot to Roger Teska with 17 left. We got in like 65 blinds each, where I had him slightly covered. I think actually I was chip leading at the time, so I think I had like 80 blinds. So it crippled me.
Is this the tournament you folded a boat?
No. That was the 10K PCA, man.
Gotcha.
I had like 80 blinds to start. He had like 60. We got it all, or 65, something like that.
Yeah.
We got it all in pre. My ace king to his ace queen, and he just flops me dead.
Bro, why do they? I listened to this guy's stories like from very recently. Like they do this guy dirty, man.
It's this face, man. I had face equity. Plus, Teska is notoriously drunk when he plays.
Just win that one.
Do you know what he then went on to do?
Did he win the tournament?
He won the tournament.
Yeah,
of course he won the tournament.
Yeah.
No big deal. But man,
of course he's going to win the tournament. But okay, so let's get back to the topic. Is we expect a really big WSOP.
Massive.
We expect 5 Diamond to be massive.
Massive.
What about these side?
Massive.
Yeah, you just keep saying it.
Massive. There are going to be.
What about the side casinos? The side casinos. Let's talk about like.
I know.
Massive. Like, the Venetian.
The Venetian and the Wynn are running stuff over the summer too.
It's going to be fall. These guys are going to be at full vacancy in their. There are going to be people playing in the fucking street. They're going to shut down the Las Vegas Strip and put a goddamn poker table at one of the traffic lights. It's going to O'Shea's might run 1,000-person field. I don't know. They might have like beer pong on the side while running like 10 tables of a $300 buy-in. Like it is going to be the biggest series by such a wide margin.
I heard that like Venetian and Wynn are also running like summer series.
They do it every year.
Yeah, like there's gonna be a signature summer series going on, and then after
there's also the bracelet events.
Online bracelet events. That's going on over the summer. WSOP is gonna be a little bit after them. Everything's kind of lining up, and I gotta sit here and play Bill heads up when it happens. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you signed yourself up for that.
Oh yeah,
you're getting yourself into, man.
I knew.
To be fair, I'm right there with you. I am reclaiming my summers. This is the year we take it back.
Busquets made a good tweet.
Yeah, he's right. This is the year we take it back. We need the World Series to stay in the fall forever. I want my summer back.
Yeah.
I want to go home.
I want my life back.
I want to go home. I want to watch baseball games at PNC Park. I want to go to the lake. I want to be out there doing all kind of stuff. And when it's absolutely fucking miserable in Vegas because it's 50 degrees and windy and it's snowing everywhere else,
then I'll suck it up and stay in the waiting line.
Then I want to be in the Rio.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Who do we talk to make that happen?
I think it's happening.
Okay, so where was I getting at? It was we're talking about all this stuff. What I'm a little lost because I now really do want this thing. I do really want this thing in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The chat is pretty much saying that they're looking. If it's so soft, Berkey, buy some pieces of me. All this stuff. Hit him up. I'm sure he has his email up on the website. If you want pieces.
If I get one fucking email asking me to buy action, I'm pulling the plug on the entire company.
Yeah.
I'll shut this whole thing down tomorrow.
You said 2,000 runners and 5 diamonds.
I will shut this shit down
so
tomorrow.
Fast. So fast.
Leave a comment below if you want a piece. If you're selling pieces, so leave a markup, a link below of your head and
You'll probably do something for the people, for the fans, probably.
I'll do a giveaway.
Yeah.
Of some sort.
They'll have some sweats.
25% giveaway.
Chill out,
coming
bro.
Soon. Oh, okay. Anyway, all right. So we do expect a really large main event, a really large WSOP, and that usually means a tournament academy coming for S4Y.
Yeah, that's true. Right now, not sure. It's probable that we are going to do something online instead of live. It just facilitates more people. And we'll probably position it leading up. So I would imagine somewhere in the September 1st region. We'll probably do a 3-week homeschoolish type of course. I feel actually pretty confident in saying that. I think that that's definitely going to be the plan. We'll spend September prepping for the World Series. We'll have, myself, Chin, Landon, Hunt, all out there doing it the way we need to. I think the way that we'll structure it is similar to like the way that tournaments break down. So something like early stage play, middle stage play, late stage play, while we intertwine ICM throughout all of that. I think that, the ICM decision-making process is probably going to be the biggest attribute that we can teach our customer base, because decisions change and they're very counterintuitive in a lot of spots.
There was a lot of ICM talk, throughout the, we spoke about like the Ace King versus 5. There was a huge discussion over that.
Mm-hmm.
There's watching ICM in these heads up fucking matches. Like,
well, there really is.
Heads up doesn't have ICM,
Yeah.
but like they're playing as if there was ICM, and it seems like
life equity
Hellmuth is the ICM genius for the longest time. So I am excited about that. You said 3 weeks, first week of September. Price point undetermined, but you guys seem to always get the better of us all the time. It's like I'm always the one fighting, like, we don't have sponsorship yet, guys. We really need to, an extra 500 could really help. And Berkey's like, what about a discount? What about if they use the code Landon? Like, and I'm like, here we go again. Guess I'll hope for Bitcoin.
Oh shit, here we go again. Yeah, crypto. I mean,
I'm all about creating value, man.
It's all about giving back.
That's what we're here to do. That's
all
why
right,
we brought Landon in.
So if you guys give us some thoughts. What do you want to see in this in an MTT course? Leave a comment below. Leave a like. Did you like that Landon's in this team? Do you want us to fucking kick him out? I don't know yet. He's not solidified. The contracts aren't necessarily signed, to be honest with you. So, I mean, you guys let us know. I mean, it's still on. Anyway, talking about some fucking story arcs. There was some beef. There was some What's Beef. You ever heard that song, Landon? What's Beef?
No.
We're gonna leave you out to
You never
dry
heard
on this
that?
one.
What's Beef? You never heard that song?
No.
Are you gonna
Big
finish it?
Papa?
Are you gonna finish this for us?
No, that's the song. What's Beef? Like, oh my God, Jesus Christ, man. What's Beef? You heard of Tupac?
I've heard Troublesome.
I don't know what Troublesome is.
Stop it. Yeah, you do. It was
What is
Tupac's diss record versus to Biggie.
No, that was Hit 'Em Up.
That's the chorus, but I'm pretty sure the name of the song is Troublesome 96.
I don't know, man. Yeah, anyway, B.I.G. Landon. Anyway, there was beef in the Twitterverse. It was Ben CB versus Dominic Nietzsche. And they were talking mad shit. They were like, pretty much, he was like, listen, you fucking snake oilsman. Dom's telling Ben. And they were going back and forth. And I don't know, man. I don't know what to think. It seems like maybe there's another shit going down. I don't know what's gonna happen. Pretty much, he says, Razor Edge is trash. DTO's top quality. This guy's a snake oilsman. These charts make no fucking sense. I blocked his ass. I don't know what to think, bro. I don't know what to think. Is this just like marketing or this is real beef? Like, I don't know, man. When Germans fight, is weird. Like
They're supposed to be together.
yeah, like it's just like I don't understand, bro. There it is. Is it really called Troublesome?
Yeah, it's blurry though. You can't see. It's Troublesome 96. I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah.
Cultured.
Cultured
response from you.
Wait, what?
That was a cultured response. You knew that one.
I did know that one.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this because I can go on and on about this for a long period of time, but I'm sure it's just going to result in my name getting dragged through the mud in some sort of capacity. So, young man,
Welcome to the team.
welcome to the team.
Welcome to the team.
First PR response. What do you think about these two kind of going? It's not even these two really, right? It was more so like one-sided. I think Dom was just pretty much attacking.
I mean, for what it's worth, I don't think like I have enough knowledge or experience using either of them, using DTO or Razor Edge. Like I can't really make an opinion on what I think of the content of each. But I mean, Ben's been a world-class player. Just been winning on forever online. Dom's also done his fair share of winning, so it just kind of seems like they both have good points, and like I don't have enough information to make
You've been
a
hanging
claim.
around Joey too long. We're getting
I don't have enough information to make a claim, you know.
Yo, you're fucking great, yo. Every time we need to make a statement, we're just gonna put you out there, like. All right, guys. This is look, they're both great, and I really like. I use a lot of stuff, but like I haven't used these that much. But this product looks great.
All right.
And
I mean, I have a lot of friends that like really talk about how great DTO is, and I know a lot of other people that have like won a bunch of tournaments and have seen some good success using Razor Edge. So.
Yeah. So here's my take on it. I have less experience.
You're back.
I have less experience with Razor Edge than I do with DTO. I think DTO is a fantastic product for what it's worth. I think that it is one avenue to massively raising the ceiling for players who are interested in pursuing poker as a career, but also pursuing poker at the highest levels.
Yeah.
Right? I think that it's very good at that. Where I think that this isn't a good faith debate any longer, and why I have an opinion that Dom is just kind of on the offense in a, I'll just say it again, in not a good faith way, is the inability to acknowledge that there is a very, very massive gap between somebody who comprehensively understands No Limit Hold'em and then is trying to get better on top of that, adding layers, versus the rest of the entire player pool who just simply wants to improve in some sort of capacity.
Yeah.
So the analogy that I always use is if we treat poker or the poker ecosystem as a gym, right? And everybody who's playing stakes between micros and mid stakes is effectively walking into the gym for maybe the first time or maybe for the first year or whatever, but they're effectively, their scope and understanding of what they're getting themselves into is incredibly limited.
Yeah.
Right? For a lot of people, that's daunting and overwhelming. But eventually, like through kinesthetic learning, just through going through the process of working out, they start to understand a little bit better, right? And then they observe those around them that they can look up to, people that are bigger and stronger and faster and swoller, right? So they watch what they do and they emulate and they mimic, right? And that helps their progress a little bit. No matter what, though, their ceilings are all incredibly limited based off of the difficulty it is to even get to the point where they start to plateau.
Yeah.
Right? So it's such a challenge to even get them to the base level comprehension of this game in a theoretical sense that most of them will just fall off and quit.
Yeah.
Right? I think that the issue with attacking somebody like Razor Edge or us or I saw him say some disparaging things against Run It Once. And the issue with attacking all of the other people in your space is that they're all not trying to fulfill the exact same need that you are.
Right.
And I don't think anyone's out there saying DTO isn't a fantastic product.
Right.
Right. So like, I guess that's my problem with this Polk-like approach
Yeah.
to just tearing people down is that you may believe that Raise Your Edge has gaps in knowledge or holes that your product can either fulfill or is superior than.
DTO doesn't have any like courses or content, right? It's just the program.
I think it's just the program, yeah.
Yeah, so like it seems like there's a bunch of different things that cater to other people. Like some people just need to learn what poker is in the first place and understand fundamentals, let alone use DTO. And
Yeah,
then when you're trying to get to the elite level, like using something like DTO is definitely super helpful.
I mean, I think maybe we just haven't given Dom enough shine for what he created.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe there is a little bit of pushback for that.
Yeah.
But also, I think like it's very narrow-minded to not acknowledge how much help is actually taking place from well-seasoned pros who are able to convey or communicate that knowledge down to novice players.
Yeah.
In a way that does improve them.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't improve them to the elite level.
No.
But I don't think anybody's trying to necessarily sell that, right? Nobody's trying to say that Raise Your Edge will get you to beating high rollers.
Right.
Right. Now, it might get you to the point where you are competently beating mid to high stakes, and now you're prepared to take on some other level of training.
Right.
In order to enter the high roller sphere. Right. But it's not a one size fits all. Like just because you subscribe to S4Y or Raise Your Edge or Learn Pro Poker or Upswing or Run It Once or DTO doesn't mean that like you specifically can only learn through that methodology.
Right.
There's just a lot of information. And the most critical thing of all is that if we really took the time to be humble and honest with ourselves and our community, every one of us, from the absolute most elite all the way down to the most novice, should be at a point where we can just admit that we know almost nothing about this game.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that lack of humbleness and instead the arrogance or hubris that's being presented by saying like, not only do I know more than my peers,
they are giving fake information.
Right. But they are knowingly deceiving you.
Yeah.
Because they're not revealing what they actually know or what they know that I know.
Right.
Right. And I think that that's very unfair, especially when there are actual bad actors.
Yeah.
There are people like Torelli out there that are selling actual trash, selling fucking necklaces with essential oils in them and calling it training. Right. Why does that guy get no exposure as being a total and utter fraud?
Yeah.
Right. Like, why are we going after people who are proven winners that are actually doing some sort of service for some collective in the community? Now, maybe it's not the collective that you are appealing to, right? Like DTO is a higher level product, period.
Right.
And that's great. That's fantastic. Like you got me as a customer for sure.
Like I'm sure that if someone were to poll Dom and be like, hey, like for DTO, like are you guys trying to help people that are trying to get to high rollers versus people that are just learning poker? He's going to say people are trying to get to high rollers. Or people that are trying to improve at a level that are already beating mid to high stakes, right? And if you're not beating low stakes, there's something else other than like not learning solvers. Like you don't need theory and like solvers, like hours in the lab to be able to
talk about this a lot,
micro
right?
stakes. Like
we talk about this a lot, that there is a lot of layers to this game.
Yeah.
And if you just take something like the Hellmuth Antonio match, DTO isn't really going to help in that environment. It will, but only to a limited degree.
Right. Like there might be better, like higher EV options than preparing for a match versus Phil than using like DTO and Pio.
Exactly. Because they are so exploitable.
Right.
And because it's such a tiny little hand sample.
Yeah.
It's so much more critical to max exploit than it is to protect yourself in that environment.
Right.
And that holds true largely across the board in live poker.
Yeah.
So yes, we want to be teaching theoretical principles and we want to be teaching very sound heuristics. But more importantly, we want to be able to teach people to think and decide for themselves in the moment what takes precedence.
Yeah.
Not necessarily try to regurgitate some sort of sim output or very specific strategy that they know will get approved by the machine. And I think to some degree, what we're seeing is like a desire to replicate chess. So I think like from Dom's perspective, DTO could represent like
an engine.
Alpha, not AlphaGo. What's the other one?
AlphaZero?
AlphaZero, yeah. So it's like we might have built something here that is akin to Stockfish or AlphaZero. And everybody in the industry if they give one iota of a shit about getting better, should use this product.
Well, isn't DTO just preloaded Sims, and it looks like it's a gamified program of Sims?
It's a little bit simplified to say that, but yes, it has a lot of tiers to it. So like, it tackles ICM, it tackles.
I think his like response to that would be like, well, you do need to learn baseline in order to start to exploit, which is like super true. And like, there's obviously a lot to be learned if you're a beginner and you want to use DTO. Like,
well, it's only true if you're dealing in the general sense.
Yeah.
It's not true if you're dealing in specifics.
Right.
If I watched 1,000 hours of Hellmuth play, I wouldn't need to know.
Yeah, there's a difference between learning baseline versus learning like how to beat Phil Hellmuth. It's
Exactly.
different than how to learn theory.
Exactly. But yes, I agree. What I think we're both agreeing on here is that there's a marriage between these two worlds.
Right.
That one side is a little bit too pretentious to ever acknowledge. And it's unfortunate, but it's also like what makes the game so incredibly fruitful and what makes live poker so incredibly protected.
Well, I think that's what the best players do, right? Is like the best players just find a way to marry their knowledge of baseline and theory versus their assumptions that they make versus the people they play. And it happens all the time, like even like in like high stakes tournaments online and live, like everyone's just sort of operating under the pretense of how far is this guy deviating and where is he deviating? And the best players know how to capitalize on those mistakes in the way that they think makes sense.
Yeah.
And you just see the results over time and time again.
It's got a couple of the chat's kind of going crazy right now. Hit him up, Torelli, all this other shit. 96 troublesome Torelli, all this.
Chat's wild, man.
Sure.
It's just you know they really like the bang of Torelli right there. That was pretty wild. But there was some other comments here, pretty much saying. There are too many training sites. It seems like every other person who's a high stakes pro has a site, and now people are just stepping on each other's toes to get ahead. I would like your take on both those things. And then the other one was from Drew Paris saying each training site kind of caters to different core of technique, GTO, exploitatives, more solver work, more macro, more micro. So let's go with the first one, which is a little bit of a more spicy take. There's too many training sites. Everyone's stepping on each other's toes to get ahead.
I think that like a lot of people that are starting training sites, like there's a lot of successful poker players that want to talk about how they think about the game, right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of why it starts in the first place.
I also think that like not every training site is out to take, 60% market share and try to like overthrow the upswings or the run at onces of the world.
Right.
So like it does make a little bit more sense to be niche and cater to very specific pockets of the poker community.
At the end of the day, people are going to make their own decision on what they want to learn from anyways. Right?
Yeah, I think that's true. I also think that like we have a lot of evolution to still take place in this space. Like, it's getting a little bit more crowded, but it doesn't differentiate as much as you think it does, right? Like if we look across the board, almost everybody is coming from a theoretical foundation, with maybe the exception of like the super utmost basic learning platforms, right? Where literally they're just teaching you, what beats what and, what a good hand is, what a bad.
Right.
That stuff probably has way less value than any dollar amount. Like you can definitely learn that shit for free, be it through reps at the table or just like, paying close attention to other platforms that are bigger, that are willing to just give that away for nothing. Yeah. So that type of information doesn't necessarily need to be paid for, I don't believe. But I think that like, just like any other true market, you'll have winners and losers. It can't stay crowded forever. The stepping on people's toes or shot taking at one another, it'll be an effective short-term method of gaining clout.
Yeah, it's like just like a marketing job.
Yeah, it's a good way to get the spotlight turned on you. It's a good way to have other competitors talk about you like we are right now.
Yeah.
But in the big picture, your product has to speak, number one. And then number two, people have to gravitate towards you and want to see you grow and succeed.
Yeah.
And that's not always the best strategy if you're worried about the latter, right? So there's probably a lot of people that DTO is too complex for, that maybe turned off, that otherwise would have thrown some money at it.
Yeah.
Because, they don't like the fact that their favorite coach was thrown under the bus.
Yeah, for sure.
Talking about throwing under the bus, there was more beef going on this week.
It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was more beef. So Ginge, who I became some sort of like a supporter of because I enjoyed his YouTube content, he ends up signing with GG shortly after, very, very recently, right? And he, it seems like, had a deal going with BBZ Poker and the owner of BBZ, or one of the owners of BBZ, Jordan. And effectively what was going down is he was tasked to create what they call a bundle or a course, and he did that. After that, he submitted his course and Jordan reviewed it. Jordan was like, this is trash, but didn't necessarily say that to Ginge. He ends up paying Ginge $5,000 and says, this is not good enough for release, but let's not necessarily trash each other. Ginge gets drunk, and in his drunken nature, someone asked him what happened with BBZ. And he ends up like throwing a couple jabs at them, pretty much saying like, yo, they didn't like me or whatever, but whatever. Jordan makes a clip and says, I will pay $1,000 an hour for any top coach to go over your database and pretty much tell you that you're fucking trash. And we didn't release your content because it was trash. You were betting 10% pot on the river in position, which is not theoretically sound. And pretty much it was just not good enough. Well, Ginge was like, can't believe you went there. I'll happily take the 1K coaching though. And what's up? So what just happened? That was kind of weird. Like, Landon, what if you just like make a course and next month, like I just tell you it's fucking trash and go get a coach or something, like, and then I tell all these people like they don't, you wouldn't like that shit. Talk to me, Landon.
I mean, yeah, it's probably something that could have been settled privately versus publicly. Like, I don't think it helps anyone when it's public. In the sense of it being public, it's like, okay, like it's weird, right? Because he does have a win rate at 500 Zoom, I would assume. Whether it's 5 to 7 bigs is a different story, and clearly it's not true because Ginger said that I never claims to have one.
Yeah.
Which means if he had the graph, he would just post it and be like, look, this is the way I see the game.
I know he's posted many graphs, but I don't know like what
holistically, right? Like what it looks like.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's one of those things that probably could have been settled privately. I'm not too sure. I guess it looks kind of good for BBZ in the sense of like they do like quality control over the products that they do put out, and I guess Jordan, as a high stakes winner, deems it to be not worth putting on the site. So like that's good for them in that sense. That like it's not just accepting content from someone that claims to be winning and then puts it on their site and like approves it.
Yeah.
But I have one piece I want to add. So, and this is a question mainly goes towards Berkey, right? So one of the pieces was Ginge claimed to win 1.2 million in Macau, right? And Jordan pretty much takes shots at that and says like, "Oh, I have no way of proving that, but like whatever." That kind of sucks, right? Like because especially let's say Berkey, like you've won money live cash games, right? If people just always discredit your live cash game winnings, like what does that leave? Like, are we only going to take coaching from people that play online? Like, what happens? Like when Jordan's just discrediting Ginge?
Yeah, I mean, largely like the online guys just win that war. There's nothing that we can do to really say otherwise. Like I have multiple millions in cash game winnings, but like there's nothing I can do to affirm that other than have you poll the people in my game. Or like speak to previous backers, or
like make a graph on like use like a bankroll tracking software.
No, I've done that.
People know. I mean, people don't care either way. Like people don't care.
Well, also they could just be fabricated.
Yeah, of course.
It's nowhere near the same.
But it's the same thing online though. To be honest, like it's very easy to purge hands from a database.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's very easy.
Well, it's easier now. It didn't used to be in the past, so that's why it's kind of the gold standard.
But either way, it's still possible to mix up some numbers and say like, oh, like this is my graph from 2021, and just remove March when you want a 50K downswing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think that is a big problem in this community, and why perhaps some of these beefs do begin is there isn't really a way to affirm.
At least like SharkScope does work because SharkScope tracks like 99.9% of tournaments. So like for tournaments, like it's a pretty good representation. But like
if we look at the market though, MTT coaching is like the lowest, or like the least saturated.
Yeah, I just mean in the sense of like for online cash, like it's going to be harder to like prove that, but I guess you can kind of tell by the way someone thinks about the game, and that's kind of what Jordan did with this Ginge thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's also true live. Like, my hand to mob is like 4.2, and people were convinced that my buy-ins like supersede that by 2x.
Yeah,
when my actual
it's very hard to do that.
My buy-ins, I've been tracking everything since 2003. My actual buy-ins are something in the neighborhood of like 1.7 million.
Yeah,
which is even more than I thought it would be. But I did play 2 high rollers.
Yeah,
or 2 super high roller. But in any event, asking for receipts is very reasonable. But you have to remember that Jordan reached out to Ginge to begin with, so he obviously was impressed either by his content creation or the fact that he was beating
his perspective of the game. Yeah.
I just.
Well, he said it was the fan base.
That's
because
fine
Ginge
too.
does have a loyal following.
Yeah, that's fine too. So he's
sure.
trying to leverage a platform, whatever the case may be. I think everything is fine up until it went public, and
just
as best I can tell, they squashed everything. The only thing that seems like it was out of line is that like maybe either Ginge shouldn't have tweeted that when he was drinking, or more specifically, it was probably a good spot for Jordan to just like kind of turn the other cheek, so to speak. Because I don't think Ginge's tweet was super inflammatory. I think it was just something along the lines of like, they don't like the way I play, or they didn't like what I had to say, or something. Basically kind of like using BBZ as a scapegoat for sure. But also like when you're, the company is bigger than one man in this particular instance. So like as the face of the company, you're kind of just expected to hold your head high, take a little bit of guff from somebody that privately you've already kind of parted ways amicably with, and just leave it at that. But they got back there anyway, it seems like.
Yeah, I think I'm a fan of both of the parties. Like, I think Ape Styles is fantastic tournament player, and he works for BBZ, and I'm not sure if he owns a piece of the company, but he's definitely in their team. And I think Ginge, I've seen a lot of his YouTube videos. I think he plays well. I think he does do things that are unorthodox. I've seen plenty of spots where he's in position and bets less than half pot on the river closing action, which is theoretically not good, but he does make people do weird shit, like they call or raise with hands that they're not supposed to, and things like that. So it seems like he maybe has an exploitative pulse that is hard to teach, and maybe Jordan just didn't really want that, or maybe wasn't explained thoroughly enough. Like, there's a lot of things we didn't get to see the video, so it's hard to know. But I am a fan of both parties, and I mean, I'm curious to see the future for Ginge. Now he's he's always been a high stakes player, and now he's part of GG. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think both of these feuds or conversations or whatever you want to frame them as are largely rooted in the better. Let's say it this way: the person who has the upper hand from a theoretical sense, wanting the world to only look through their lens, right? And that's why I said, like, if we really were able to just get to a point where we can all kind of admit that we don't know very much about this game. Granted, there are people who know significantly more than others.
Yeah.
Dom and Jordan being two of them. But in the grand scheme of things, for what the perfect solutions are, we barely have a glimpse, right? We just barely have any vision whatsoever over the complexity of this game. So it's like, maybe Ginge is doing things that aren't theoretically sound compared to what we know now, but perhaps there are, branches to the tree that we haven't quite yet discovered, or they're low frequency plays, or, whatever. I think, or even if like you're
especially
saying,
if they're highlight clips too, right?
Yeah, or even just like Chin saying, if they actually cause errors because people like this may be bad, but the response is worse, kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's just like a lot of lenses to see this game through. It's very difficult if you try to fit everything into one box to ever find common ground with other people that don't think the way you think.
Because that's more than a course. That's like a strategy implementation sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, to be fair, I don't think like you can transpose that onto other people.
Yeah.
Right. Like, there's a lot of things that I do that I think work well for me, but largely it's
for you.
It's my image.
Yeah.
Right. It's like I'm playing off of a preconceived notion that warps the way people see my ranges and see my bet sizes and see these other things.
Yeah.
So I accumulate some extra EV there that I can't just teach to a random 2-5 person because they don't have that same benefit.
Right. It's going to be different for everyone. in poker anyways. Like everyone's always gonna have different impressions of other people, right? Especially in live, right? Like if you see someone over like an older person like putting a bunch of money on the river, like you probably just expect them to have value way too much, right?
Yeah.
And if you see someone that's like a lot younger and like whatever, like has long hair and a backwards hat, like you think they're over bluffing, like that's like in the spot like I've played, like there's always going to be that sort of thing where that just goes into the strategical portion of how you construct your overall game, and some of that stuff's not really teachable because you're operating through your own lens.
Well, the big thing that we don't deal enough with from the teaching element, when we look across the board at all of the trainers that are out there,
Yeah.
where they all lack vision is how to cope with bounded ranges.
Mm-hmm.
And the vast majority of the clientele that are purchasing training from anyone are playing in environments where ranges are bounded quite frequently. Like simply 3-bet ranges are bounded.
Yeah.
Right? You'll just see a lot of game types where 3-bets are literally just like jacks plus ace.
Well, yeah, like I told you, like when I play like these live tournaments, sometimes like when someone 3-bets me, I consider it a 4-bet range, and when they 4-bet me, you consider it a 5-bet range.
Right.
Like it's just not what you expect it to be,
Right.
and by expect, I just mean in theory versus what's happening in
Right.
practice. Like
It's and I don't even want to say it's too tight because that's obvious, but like more specifically, it's just bounded. It just lacks that.
It lacks the bottom
that
portion,
lower equity portion of the range, and that extrapolates out to post.
Right.
Right. They take aggression on flop or on turn or on river, and it's just like they are devoid of the low equity
Of board
hands.
coverage, yeah.
Yeah, and when that occurs, the GTO response is meaningless.
Yeah, because it's going to change, right? Like if I put ranges into Pio and I put a range that's only like aces, kings, queens, you're gonna have to find a way to like bluff with all of them somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's gonna be some spots where like you don't have enough combos in your range, so you're gonna have to start doing a
Or
lot
you
of
just
weird
like start
shit.
doing infinite
Like,
checking,
right?
Because all you care about is realization.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the output's gonna change when you don't have like the bottom portion of having 6-5 suited, 7-6 suited, ace-4 off,
Right, like that's
ace-7
kind of what I'm
off.
getting at. It's like once an overfold occurs, the range becomes more and more bounded from every street
Right.
at that point on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's the unfair, undiscussed portion of the Dom raise your edge fight. It's the unfair, undiscussed portion of Jordan versus Ginge.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people were just helped whenever they are given the framework of okay, and granted it's a tall order, right, to teach baseline first and then teach to the environment.
Yeah.
But it's one that we have to tackle.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to be in this instructional space and we're going to claim that we are authorities in any way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
you have to cover the whole spectrum. You can't be lazy and just say like, I've found optimal solutions for environments that choose to play optimally.
Yeah.
Or try to come as close as possible, right?
Yeah.
You have to say like, okay, I found these optimal solutions and now I know where to begin.
Right.
We're literally just beginning our study with that.
Like it'd be really cool if something like DTO had an option of where it's like, let's say like you can put like an assumptive based thing of they're over bluffing 10% and then see how your frequency changes on the overall spectrum.
Yeah.
Right. And
I think Nick's Detox does a great job of this.
Yeah.
Right. He's just able to find so many different areas where ranges become bounded one way or the other.
Right.
Right. Either way too bluff heavy and just lack value, or way too value heavy and just lack bluffs.
Yeah.
And the entirety of like the genius and the simplicity here is we're just simply looking for imbalances that are so egregious.
Yeah, it's like when they do some dumb stuff, we're gonna take
we just
advantage
win.
of it. Yeah.
We just find ways to win based on the perfect response.
And like you can tell in live environments too, like when people run bluffs of some capacity or make some calls that in theory are sound but look insane because they're out of the natural perspective of how the game looks.
Right.
You could tell who has their head on a swivel, like, is this guy insane?
Yeah.
And who sits there and is like, yeah, like this has merit.
Right.
And you can kind of come to your own conclusions on whether that guy's bluffing or not.
Yeah.
Like
that's
people that are observing.
that's the hidden information of live poker.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. So I do want to close out the podcast with a couple of insights, Landon, onto your preparation for your match with Bill Perkins. So to remind people, you're going to be playing 200, 400 for 20,000 hands, heads up, no limit hold'em. You're laying Bill 9 big blinds per 100. I believe that's 720,000 if I'm not mistaken.
That's some numbers right there.
So we're effectively handing Bill 720,000 and saying, please sit with us
Yeah.
for this amount of hands.
Mm-hmm.
And tell the people a little bit of like what is your preparation routine look like without giving away, you know, the secret sauce.
Sure. I mean, I've just been playing a lot, been working with a lot of friends of mine that I highly respect, and I've just been putting a lot of volume and then starting from there, and kind of just running a bunch of sims, kind of seeing what things look like in theory, and just kind of getting better every day, putting in a bunch of hands, and then yeah, it's been a lot of fun actually learning heads up, and it's a game type that I definitely want to improve at, just for my own purposes of the game, and also like being able to hold lobbies is something that's really important when you start playing higher stakes online. Just because like if you're open sitting lobbies, when games do happen to fill up for other games like Six Max and stuff, you're gonna be able to have a seat. Otherwise, like if you're trying to like lobby hunt and try to click a seat, like you might not be able to get action because you're gonna be on the wait list because you're not in the game. So if you're open sitting and you can play anyone heads up, there's a lot of EV to be had in that.
Do you feel prepared to the point where if you had to play tomorrow, you'd be good?
I think I would, because I think a lot of the potential upside would be towards seeing how he reacts. Like there's going to be, I think that's part of the 9 big blind per 100 spot is like everyone's imbalanced in some way, and being able to take advantage of that is going to help me on the grand scheme of things. And like I don't want to get too much into it obviously, but it's one of those things where like I think my win rate increases the longer the match goes.
That's reasonable.
Like that's that's the assumption that I'm working on.
Yeah, I mean that can be true to a degree. There has to be an apex, if you will. I would
An
assume,
apex predator.
Right? There has to be a point of diminishing returns where eventually like he is able to readjust.
Yeah.
And now
it's just a matter of does he?
Right.
It's a matter of
also a matter of how many hands does that actually take.
Right. It might take 19,000 hands.
It might take 100.
Might take 1,000.
Yeah, right.
It's just kind of under the impression of like no one, neither he nor I, knows what the win rate is for either of us in this case.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of playing a guessing game of who's going to work hard and who's going to be able to implement when time comes and make in-game decisions and in-game adjustments further down the line, and kind of seeing where we stand from that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what poker is, right? You just kind of say that you have some sort of edge somewhere, and then you just put your money where your mouth is and you see what happens.
Yeah.
And
So
like either
tell
way, like
people-
sorry, like with heads up variance, like it's also one of those things where like my win rate could be lower than I think it is, and I'm running at a win rate that's twice as high, maybe even with a certain amount of sample, right? Maybe even 3 times as
I like how you dip into the optimism rather than going the other way where...
Well, I mean, you can also say like I could also be winning at like 20 bigs per 100.
Yeah.
In theory, but be running at negative 30.
Yeah.
And I just get waxed for the first 5,000 hands.
Yeah.
And it looks like I'm awful.
Right.
And that's the risk I have to take too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of part of like understanding like how much money that my side is going to be putting on this thing, and then how much seems to be an effective number to where like, okay, if this thing happens, like danger zone, like I guess like mission failed, we'll get him next time kind of thing is going to happen. Or like it could just like be where I'm winning 20 big blinds and I'm winning like 60, and you just win every all in, and you win every card distribution spot. Like you set or reset them every time, and you win every 3 or 4 bet pot. Like they just always have bet folds or call folds, and that could happen one way or the other, and that's just the natural volatility of heads up no limit.
Sure.
Landon, tell the people when it's going to start, what kind of content they should be expecting around it. Be on. I've heard rumors of some sites, but give a little insight.
So I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing content-wise out of all of it, in the sense of like preparation, and like the people that I'm working with don't necessarily want to talk about some of the things that we're doing.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that when all is said and done, there'll be something along the lines of the way I see some spots in the match, the way I prepared for the match overall, and what that necessarily looked like. And I guess I'm going to have to talk about that more with the people I'm working with, just in the matter of what they feel comfortable with talking about, because it's not just a me thing. But yeah, I mean, it's just something where some content in some capacity could end up coming out. It just depends on having those conversations and what is going to be allowed per se.
Sure.
If you get to $1 million lead, are you gonna stream with like your cards covered with the cat jam going, or
I
what's
mean,
gonna
I
happen?
probably have like a financial responsibility not to. I'm sure we can kind of get to that point when we get there, but I think Bill and I said that we might stream a couple times just to kind of depending on what's going on. It is going to start June 1st. Like we had a conversation that it's going to start the week of June 1st, and hopefully get the ball rolling there, and then sort of see what happens in the terms of like, we're still figuring out like rules and terms and buyout clauses if need be. Like maybe we take every 5,000 hands, someone can say like, okay, I guess I'm out, and then figure all that stuff out. But tentatively, like, we are locked into play the first few hands in the week of June 1st. So,
pretty sick.
Yeah.
What website?
I think we're playing on ACR. I think we're working out terms with ACR. So, yeah, should be there.
All right. Well, ACR may or may not be sponsoring the stream that Landon will be on. Maybe S4Y ACR partnership. We'll see what's going on. See what we can do with my man Phil Nagy. You know, we need. You know, I don't know how long the Google discussions are going to continue.
The back and forth is really it's head shaking.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's a tough job, and I've been in this fucking building now,
kicking everyone
for
out
3 months. Talking with the Google people. It's you guys don't understand. You think your signing was like a big deal? Like, wait till you see this $1 million coming through the door in a couple weeks. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. Okay? Will you be done by December, Landon?
I have no idea. I hope so.
Okay. If Landon wins this match, I'm going to free roll somebody into the 10K 5 diamond. That leaves a comment below in the comment section.
Of this vlogcast specifically?
This vlogcast specifically. The Landon introduction to S4Y. If Landon wins his match with Bill Perkins on ACR, I will free roll someone into the 10K 5 diamond. I don't know the percentages yet. You're going to have to negotiate with me in the Google building. But you will be in the 10K 5 diamond, that of which Berkey says will have 2,000 runners. You better have 2,000 runners because I need my good.
I need that EV.
value.
We need that EV.
Yeah, I need that EV.
Maybe they have a tournament. Everyone that like leaves a comment somehow gets into a tournament, and then the winner is the winner of the 10K seat. We got to make some content out of it, you know.
I don't know what just happened. What else am I doing?
We're saying everyone who leaves a comment.
You make a 10K prize pool.
Yeah.
For everybody who leaves a comment, and then the winner of that tournament gets the free roll.
And they fight it out.
Ooh. Yeah, you got to fight it out.
And then we'll do commentary on the final table of it.
Yeah, we could do it on Tom's site.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. No, don't fucking. Tom has beef with me right now. You heard? I don't know what this fucking Tom person is, but that guy has beef with me right now. We'll work that out later. He's omitted from the 10K seat. But we'll see what's up. I hope you all enjoyed season 2, episode number 32. Welcome, Landon, to the S4Y team. Of course, it is myself, Landon Tice, Matt Big Bet Berkey, the Alpha Reg Apex Predator. He's going to have to fight it out with Phil Hellmuth.
Someone else is going to have to be the Apex Predator, yeah.
And I hope to see you all next week. I am on my way to Mexico, Playa del Carmen. I am excited. I will not leave the show. I will be here. I will exit the Google building.
To go to the Mexico Google building.
To go to the Mexico Google. You are learning quick, man. I'm glad we brought you on.
Yeah.
With that said, peace.
To me, that's Apex Predator shit, bro. I can save one big blind with King 10 against King Jack. I can save one big blind, you know, in these two amazing spots, and then I call off 44 big blinds.